Hey all, I have a great episode here for you today on a new book. Three guys, Dale Lucht, Morgan Jones, Peter Barnett wrote. It's going to be a great episode, really important for leaders, and it connects a lot to sustaining and actually achieving transformation.
Welcome to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast, where we share knowledge from global experts and practitioners in how to embed excellence for sustainable results. How to create a culture of continuous improvement and innovation using best practices in operational excellence, customer experience and sales, leadership, strategy, people development, and environmental and social good.
I'm your host, Brad Jeavons, coming to you from Brisbane, Australia. Enhancing an organisation's ability to continuously improve and innovate at all levels creates amazing results, up to 10 times productivity improvement, customer and employee experience increases, as well as safer operations and reduced environmental impact. Unfortunately, most programs deployed to enhance the company's ability to improve and adapt fail to deliver. A select few have overcome this trend and truly embedded excellence. This show explores these organisations and steps you can take to improve yours. This show is proudly brought to you by the Enterprise Excellence Community and Group, which is focused on helping organisations embed excellence for sustainable results and a better future. Through the group, you can attend workshops focused on the most important topics to embed excellence. You can also get hold of free resources from the download section of the website, or reach out to one of our members for some advice and help. Visit enterpriseexcellencegroup.com.au to learn more. Welcome to episode 213 of the Enterprise Excellence Podcast. It is such a pleasure to have Mr. Dale Lucht on the show with us today, co-author of Don't Repeat Our Mistakes, the new book together written with Morgan Jones and Peter Barnett. Together, the three authors bring massive background in operational enterprise excellence, particularly focused on culture, change, and transformation. Today, we're going to explore this knowledge in the new book that pulls it all together. Don't Repeat Our Mistakes. 9 lessons for leaders championing culture transformation. Let's get to the episode. Dale, thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm pleased to be with you.
Yeah, looking forward to the chat. Such an important topic because so many organizations are focused on culture change to, improve engagement with people, but also drive performance. But Dale, firstly, what's your background in this area of working with companies to transform cultures and enhance improvement and performance?
Well, I have a background that sort of floated in 3 different areas and started with degrees in industrial engineering and MBA. And so my career started doing process improvement work, engineering work in manufacturing, as most industrial engineers start. And during that process, fell in love with the Toyota production system, and was able to study that in Japan, and found a company that was really understood that at the Han Company, H&I Corporation, and joined them. And while there, moved into some leadership positions in manufacturing, plant GM, distribution VP with multiple distribution centers, VP of supply chain, and found that the principles not only applied in manufacturing, but also distribution and in supply chain. So got to thinking and moved to the third phase of my career, which was coaching senior leaders as an internal coach, and did that at a manufacturing company, a large healthcare network with hospitals and physician offices. And then finally at a financial organization, Discover Financial Services, and coaching the members of the CEO staff there. So that's my background on those 3 phases.
And it's amazing when you look at it, Dale, how broad of industries, operational or enterprise excellence spreads across, like right from manufacturing, through to supply chain, through to financials. It comes down to every company has people in it, doesn't it? And it's like, how do we engage those people to help take the culture and the performance of the organization for everyone?
Absolutely. You're right on target there. And even what we found is in areas like IT development work. We use the term lean, but agile and lean are first cousins
Yes, they
with
are.
the same principles behind them. And yes, it applies even to software development. And when I moved into healthcare, as an example, people were just starting to think about that. And it was almost a challenge to myself to say, I think we can make this work in healthcare.
Yeah,
And we did.
yeah. It's great with that piece on Agile too, Dale, because I've been fortunate to get to know Jeff Sutherland, one of the co-creators of Scrum and Agile, and he's an amazing guy. And Jeff openly himself says Agile is lean. It's built on Taichi Ohno's work, lean tighter
Mhm.
production systems. I don't think the word lean was around when Jeff was inventing Scrum and Agile, but he uses the word lean now because that's what everyone knows it as. And that's what he says. Apart from one other element, is a guy called John Boyd who created the OODA loop and was a co-designer of the F-15, F-16 that went on to the F-18 and all the way through. So it's all the same base. And it's how do we engage people to improve towards a purpose and goals, isn't it? But it's not easy to achieve.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to achieve.
No, it isn't. And what's interesting to me is companies start, no matter what business you're in, they start with some of the problem solving, taking waste out of the organization, shortening lead times, and doing work of that nature. And they see tremendous improvement for that first 2 or 3 or 4 years by employing those tools to take the waste out of their processes. But until they change the leadership, that they usually plateau at about year 3 or 4 and maybe even regress a bit if they don't change the whole leadership system and leadership style of the organization.
It's a common pattern, isn't it? Common pattern. 3 years of gains and then all of a sudden disappears. So Dale, I guess this is an obvious question, but why did you, Morgan and Peter choose to write the book Don't Repeat Our Mistakes, focused on championing cultural transformations?
Well, I knew Peter from Discover and also through my work with the Shingo Prize as a team leader and lead examiner, and also knew Morgan from the Shingo Prize. And so we went on site visits to world-class companies together and met at conferences and that, and got to talking. And Morgan had written a couple of books previous to this one. And so we started to talk about it would be really important to write a capstone work about some of our lessons learned, both in coaching leaders, but also in what we had observed as Shingo examiners and working with other companies. And so we started talking about it and decided, let's do it. This is a good capstone for our careers. I'm probably a little bit later in my career than the other two guys, but we decided to do this. And then probably one of the neat things that came out of our discussion is we said, we're not really in this to make a dollar with the book or anything. So we decided to donate 100% of our proceeds from the book to a very worthy cause, the Michael J. Fox Foundation, for Parkinson's disease research, something that's touched all of us. And so that's sort of where we decided to go with it.
Oh, that's
And so
awesome.
we spent the next year and a half, 2 years working on the book.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, isn't it? There's a lot of work, but it's so good that you're putting charities to such a good cause. Unfortunately, Parkinson's disease is still out there prevalently, and it's a great, great cause. Dale, with your background and knowledge in the book, you write about 9 lessons. Just in summary, what are those 9 lessons that you've learned to truly help a company transform to a culture of continuous improvement, innovation, where everyone's improving it, every day to go forward?
Well, I would call them leadership lessons because they're really what we found as some common threads in leaders. And as we were writing the book, we interviewed quite a number of leaders of successful companies to get their perspective as well. And so the 9 lessons, just to go through very quickly, and we can expand on any of them that you'd like, but it's purpose, engaging people in a common purpose. It's principles informing the ideal behavior. So what are those principles? It's ideal behavior because if you're going to get ideal results, you need ideal behavior. Focusing on continuous improvement, changing the role of the leader, visibility, an obsession for simplicity, curiosity, and then finally, a routine or a strong commitment to discipline of the leader.
Wow, that's cool. So purpose, principles and behaviors, ideal behaviors, continuous improvement, change the roles, visibility, simplicity, and the final one again was
The final 2 were curiosity was the 8th one, and routine.
Nice.
By
Nice.
routine, we're talking more about the commitment of discipline of a leader to have standard work, to do the right things, to be visible, to be working with their people, not quarantined in their office forever.
Yeah, tucked away, tucked away. And with these leadership out, elements or key factors of focus, these are the ones that you found that if leaders can lean into these and really work on these, it will help an organization keep transforming and going forward.
That is correct. And so what we've tried to do is not only talk about what that ideal lesson looks like, but in respect to the title, Don't Repeat Our Mistakes, we've also focused on, okay, here's some things that we've personally seen go wrong.
Yeah, it's common, isn't it? I guess we all have, like even myself, when I look at that purpose bit, I know how important it is to connect people to purpose and to do it constantly, as Jim Collins said it in the famous book. But it's rarely used, and even on reflection myself in my career at times, you can easily drift off that and lose that connection to purpose and start just firefighting or running hard rather than putting the effort into it.
Well, and it also goes a little bit deeper in that every company that I've visited has wonderful vision statements and so forth on the wall. I mean, they're very, very good. But it has to be a purpose that the organization can relate to and embrace. So many purposes are create shareholder value or increase profit. And to most people in the organization, they say, oh, yeah, that's nice, but what role do I play?
Yeah.
Where, if you see other companies say, we have a commitment to quality of products that never fail. Okay, now I can relate to that because I can affect that. Or one of the most meaningful ones that I ran into is I was at a plant that was doing the Under Armour of the Humvees for our troops in Iraq and during that conflict. And their purpose was bring our troops home alive.
Yeah.
And everybody in the plant knew that purpose and they could relate to it. And they felt they were doing very meaningful work because that's what they were doing.
Yeah. I love it. I got a similar one with a mate of mine, Bob Simpson, who led ADI, Australian Defence Industries, back when they were developing the Bushmaster, which is our armoured vehicle. And it was, we don't want an Aussie to die in this thing. And still, touch wood to this day, an Aussie has not died in that thing. Even one sitting on top, copping a blast, didn't die. So
Fantastic.
it's been they still talk to it. It's now Talus, but they still revere that and talk to it every day, even when they're maintaining the kit. It's like it's amazing the power that comes of that, isn't it? Dale,
It is.
let's move on to the bit around principles informing behavior, and then the piece around really leading and improving ideal behaviors. Why is that important, Dale? What's that look like and why is that important?
Well, the principles of the organization are what the people see every day. And the important part there is, do you have a system in place to reinforce or make those principles visible? A lot of times we have principles, but we don't have anything to create the visibility of those principles. And let me give you an example. As a plant manager, one of our principles was our employees are our most valued asset. So how do we do that? Well, we did it by spending a lot of time on the plant floor. I required everyone on my staff to work 4 hours a month on the plant floor. And by doing that, including myself, we learned a lot about the challenges and a lot about what everyone was thinking, how to address those fears, thoughts, whatever, and how to do a better job of leadership in the organization. When you do that, the teams become far more transparent with leaders in surfacing those issues. So that's an example of a system that drives the principle that you're trying to drive in the organization.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dale. So really leaning into a few systems or that result in ideal behaviors that then actually link up to your principles or values of your company. So you're going, right, well, what is our culture? What are some key systems and behaviors that we could focus on, particularly as leaders, that if we do these well, we would predict that it's going to drive the culture and performance.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the system part of it is very important because most leaders have a realization of what should be done or how it should look, but they fail to put that system in place to do it. So if you say we want to develop our people, but you don't have any training or education program, well, it's not really a valid behavior then.
Yeah, it's true. Dale, one thing that I'm finding in Australia, and I won't say it for the world, I agree totally with the system, criticality of a system and having a system owner and team and leading that system through. One thing I'm finding is that there are more and more visionary personalities in a lot of organizations where putting the discipline into a system is not part of their natural habit. It seems like we're becoming more reactive and chaotic in this world, and finding those people who can actually lead a system long enough to make it part of what we do is a challenge that I'm seeing. What are you seeing?
No, I think you're right on target there, Brad, because what got us to a successful leadership role may not be the same thing that sustains us in that role. So an example, so as a first level manager in an organization, we're paid to solve problems for our team. And as we get a promotion to the next level, the problems are just bigger problems that we have to solve for the team. But at some point, you've got to have that changeover to where the leader says, it's no longer my role to solve all the problems for my organization. And so the charismatic leader sometimes struggles to get out of that problem solving, the guy wearing the cape role, and listening to their people and challenging their people to think through the issues and solve the problem on their own.
Yeah, and lean into the systems that are going to enable that versus charging around like crazy with new ideas.
Exactly.
And that's a real challenge that I see even in the personality of a lot of people that are at senior leadership is their personality one that can stick to a system long enough to truly see it embed? Because it takes a bit of time, doesn't it? It's
Yes, it does.
focus on the
In
same
co-
thing for a fair period of time and keep improving it.
Exactly. And in coaching leaders, the first couple of questions from the coach should be, okay, we just had a fire pop up in the organization. What system failed? And how would you change that system?
Yeah.
It's not a question of what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's a question of what system failed and how do you fix that system?
Too true. Too true. One of the challenges we've got, Dale, isn't it, at least in Australia, we've had is that systems have become synonymous with IT. Everyone sees a system as a IT system. No, well, that's a system. No, that's a tool. Like a system is more than that. It's a big process within a company that connects key things together to make culture and performance happen. What's your version of that, Dale?
No, I completely agree. And, I use the term system to refer to process, but I get challenged by that in a lot of organizations because you're right. People think of systems as a set of IT programs that are going to solve the problem. And it's a semantic problem. It's a poor choice of words, perhaps on my part, but it's the one I
Oh,
use.
no, Dale, I think we've got to bring it back. I've decided to stop avoiding it and just talk systems all the time and bring it back. That's what I've
Good.
decided. I'm setting the charge to
I'm
retake
with
what
you.
systems really are. Dale, we've spoken a bit then, I guess, about my role, the leader. It's to really start to elevate and think about systems and how do I help improve those systems and what systems failed rather than firefight on a particular more micro position that we could have. But you got anything more to add around my role as a leader to create that continuous improvement culture?
Well, I think part of it is, and again, you mentioned the charismatic leaders that have got where they're at today uh, through their character and enthusiasm. But we've found that leaders have to lead with humility and create time to listen and observe, and that sort of ties with that ninth lesson of routine as well is so many times when I'm coaching a leader, and I say, well, we need to spend time. We're going to go to this scrum for this team and observe, or we're going to go to this problem solving team. And the first reaction is, I don't have time for that. And so it's a matter of role and routine tying together and saying, no, we have to create time to listen and observe and develop the systems to enable us to do that.
Yeah, too true. And again, that comes back to that systems thinking, doesn't it? And helping leaders start to think in systems and understand the critical processes that are for them to lead or at least sponsor, I guess. Like
Mhm.
sometimes if they're too charismatic and too non-systematic, they might need to sponsor someone to own that system rather than own it themselves.
Yeah.
Have you seen
And
that play out?
there are times when the leader does have to solve the problem. It's not, 100% one way, but those are the minority of the problems. And so the other part of it is when you ask a leader what their primary role is, a lot of them will list things like strategic planning and developing the vision for the company and that. And then you say, well, how much time do you spend on that? Well, I'd like to spend more, but I just don't have time right now.
Yeah.
And by creating a routine, creating systems, our hope is, of course, that the leader now has time to do those priority things like strategic planning.
Yeah. And help it deploy and then
Yes,
execute.
absolutely.
It's one thing I've noticed that a lot of universities don't even train at the minute on strategy deployment. And then some might train on agile for execution and some bits and pieces like that. But it seems most universities train a lot on strategic planning and cultural planning. But I don't
Mhm.
see many that train on how to effectively connect everyone to it and then enable everyone to execute in a cadence or a system
Yeah,
towards it.
it's rare that you do have organizations do that. We are starting to see, especially with MBA programs, some that are tied closer to like the Shingo Prize model, the Toyota production system model, agile thinking. And unfortunately, it tends to be more in the master's level programs.
Yeah.
But
you look at the great companies, and we look at the top companies by market cap or anything.
mhm.
All of them, predominantly, unless they are a company that owns a resource that no one else can get to, and they're a mass resource producer, the bulk of them, one of the systems they're very good at is strategic and cultural planning and connecting everyone to it right down to the front line. And then they get very good at execution, a system of CI and project execution to drive the results, typically in a monthly or quarterly cadence, like all of them. You know,
Absolutely.
the big FMCG companies, they use the OGSM system. The big tech companies and agile companies use OKRs and systems like that.
Mhm.
We know of Hoshin Kanri out of Toyota. Like it's a common pattern, but I can't believe it's taken this long for universities to jump on this critical system.
Well, I think it's a question of who follows who. You know, a lot of the major consulting organizations, McKinsey, people like that are now, have this as part of their thinking. And
Yeah,
so now is it the universities follow the major consulting companies and firms, or do the firms follow the universities?
yeah,
And the answer is it depends.
yeah. Just be nice for our kids to be taught this stuff before they even get into their role. And then when they get to leadership, at least it's there in the back of their mind to help. Dale, the final piece there, you've got some visibility and simplicity and curiosity. What are those
Mhm.
three about? Visibility, simplicity, and curiosity.
Well, the visibility is really the byline we use of that was be visible and verify.
Mm,
You want to verify that those systems are working, um, and leaders just need to be present. That's become tougher since COVID, quite frankly, as we go to more of remote environments and and maybe it's become easier because now a leader in Los Angeles can be on the line with a plant in Melbourne and and participate, which
yep.
they wouldn't have thought of before.
Yeah.
But you hear so often, I don't have time for that, but leaders have to create the time, even if they're in a different building or a different city, and respectfully listen.
Hmm.
And to respectfully listen sometimes is a challenge as well. As far as simplicity, it really goes back a lot and ties to continuous improvement, in that we're trying to remove steps, remove complexity without increasing risk. And so, it is perfectly acceptable to remove, as an example, manufacturing, a quality inspection if I have some sort of backstop in place, such as a and-on or error-proofing step to ensure good quality, so that I don't have to inspect it. I know it's good quality because the parts fit together right. So understanding the difference between value-added steps and non-value-added steps, eliminating those non-value-added without increasing the risk of the product failing. And that applies to software development as well as manufacturing a product. Curiosity is one that, quite frankly, in the book, we added late in the game as we talked to leaders. And we had a number of leaders that were quite adamant that no, a leader has to be curious. And there has to be a culture in the organization of rewarding experimentation and trying new methods, but at the same time keeping the customer or the patient or whatever isolated from your experiment.
Yeah. It's too true.
Don't experiment with live rounds flying over your head.
Yeah.
And then finally, routine is all about establishing that leader standard work. And so many times the leader says, well, a standard calendar, standard work doesn't apply to me because my work changes every day.
Yeah.
And to an extent, it does. But while somebody on the plant floor may have 90% of their day covered by standard work, a leader may have 40% or 50% covered by standard work. And but getting that routine so that you have time for the important things and you're consciously thinking about what am I doing to drive the right behaviors in my organization.
Yeah, too true, Dale. And I love it with this book that you've written with the guys is that you've got these 9 principles or 9, elements of leadership that really help you transform. And I can see when we come back to, element 2 and 3, that if an organization can get clear on their ideal leadership behaviors linked to their values or their principles, I'm sure a lot of these 9 should be in there. Like there's elements that if you go,
Yeah,
if I want to achieve excellence, potentially don't repeat our mistakes is a good read to go, well, what are some ideal leadership behaviors that we should be focused on and really working on?
absolutely. One of the things we've tried to do, if you look at the book, there's really 3 segments to it. The first segment describes the lessons and what we've learned, mistakes we've made, and so forth. The second talks and addresses how to coach a leader, why a leader needs coaching. And the third segment is leaders becoming a coach for their organization. But in the appendix, we've tried to create some tools that a leader can use to, number one, evaluate their organization as to how they're progressing in these 9 areas. But number 2, how are they as a leader progressing in those 9 areas? And so there's some evaluation tools that are usually quite revealing. And the feedback we've had are quite valuable to a leader in really assessing where they're at, both as a leader and as an organization.
It's great. I can really hear that with those tools in the back of the book, you've given leaders the ability to do a proper PDCA cycle around their ideal behaviors. It gives that check and the ability to act, doesn't it? That type of
Yes, it
review
does.
system.
And we put in there some cards for the leader. So it has the evaluation on one side and it has key questions they should be asking on the other side.
It's great. It's great. So Dale, the big question then, like, great episode, great information, but if you were with a leader for 2 minutes going up an elevator with a CEO, what would be your 2-minute tip to them to really not repeat our mistakes and go forward in this area?
Well, the first question I would ask them would be, do you have a coach? And it could be an internal coach, it could be a peer, it could be a mentor, but what outside eyes are they using to guide them? And then if they do, then the question is, okay, given these 9 lessons, how are they guiding you on those 9 lessons in your progression? And how are you progressing?
That's awesome. I love it. It's lean into coaching to coach around these lessons or ideal behaviors and help your organization go forward. It's great. Dale, I really appreciate the knowledge and insights that you've provided, and Morgan and Peter have played a massive part in pulling together.
Oh, absolutely.
How
It's a
can
team effort.
team effort, many minds coming together, which is so much a part of enterprise excellence too, isn't it? It's the power of the team, which you're exuding
Absolutely.
in the way you write the book. How can people reach out to you and get in touch if they want to learn more?
Well, first of all, the book is available, became available on June 30th through all the normal outlets, Rutledge, Productivity Press, Amazon, and so forth. But they can reach me through either LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm on both of them, and reach out and I will answer their inquiries and take the time to discuss it with them.
Great, Dale. Well, Dale, thank you for everything you have done and continue to do to help us share knowledge and create a better future, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity to meet with you and to be part of this podcast.
Cheers, Dale. Bye for now. What a great episode. Remember, you can visit our website, enterpriseexcellencegroup.com.au, under resources, to be able to find additional information and tools around this topic of sustaining a transformation and achieving ideal results from all our past guests, which now Dale is part of. There were two key takeaways for me from this episode. The first was the importance of helping leaders understand systems thinking again, and the importance of systems to drive ideal behaviours towards your principles and your culture, but also your strategy. A lot of the organisations nowadays see systems as purely an IT or software-based tool, but it's actually a lot more than that. It's key systems like the way we lead and lead from the front, and we standardise routines and time, the way that we strategically and culturally plan and deploy that and execute that, the way our CI system, all these key big processes within your organisation, there are critical ones which will either help you transform and drive ideal behaviours, or they won't, depending on how healthy those systems are. The other key takeaway for me was the element that Dale spoke about around the connection to purpose, but a purpose being meaningful, not just profit or whatever that outcome may be that often we can lean into as an organisation, but a purpose that is meaningful to everyone in the company in every place, so that people can really connect into it, which is a key aspect of strategy and culture deployment system, but also of motivation to create a continuous improvement culture. Thanks again for your time and knowledge, Dale. Thanks for everything you have done and continue to do to help us create a better future. Bye for now.